Hi, welcome everyone.
Hello, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for today's Beach Connections session. This is the very first one of the webinar series over the summer, so thank you all for being here. We are with Basic Needs and Cares today with Danielle, who will take over here in just a couple of minutes. I'm Nina Luxon. If you have not already met me, I am the program coordinator for new student and family programs, and I mainly work with you all. I work with parents and families throughout the summer and throughout the academic year, so you'll see a lot of me. If you have any questions about any of the materials that we're talking about or any beach connections moving forward, please put them in the Q&A box at the bottom. So if you look at the bottom of your screen, you will see a box and it says Q&A. Please enter your questions there. If you enter your questions in the chat, they may not get answered as quickly. So we want to make sure that folks are putting their questions in the Q&A box. We also do want to ask you all to please refrain from turning on your microphones just to minimize distraction, and remain muted throughout the duration of the presentation today. And again, we will answer those questions in the Q&A box near the end as a live answering of questions. So thank you so much for all being here. I will hand it off to Danielle to take it away. Thank you, Danielle.
Great, thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you for letting me spend some time with you. My name is Danielle Munoz Chanel, and I'm the director for our basic needs and our cares department. So I'm really excited that you joined us to learn more about what we do. Cares and basic needs are fairly new to higher education. Uh, Most of our programs probably started around 2015 with food pantries. And then in 2020 is when a lot of the CSUs really took off with basic needs centers and cares teams. So we've, again, fairly new. Some of us are coming up on our 10-year anniversaries here. And so a lot of folks maybe are alumni and didn't recognize these programs before, but they are here now. So let's get started to talk about a little bit about our programs. So cares and basic needs and the cares department. We're here for any student that are experiencing challenges. So we certainly hope our students get off to a smooth start and that really virtually no major issues happen during their time, but sometimes they do. And so we're here to help students and their families navigate that. And at any time when I'm chatting today with you all, if you have questions, as Nina said, put them into the Q&A, and then I'll be checking those periodically. So I might not see it at first, but I will definitely check and I'll catch those as we go. So let's talk about the CARES team first. Our CARES team, it stands for Crisis Assistance and Resource Education Support. And so it is really those two things. It's a crisis assistance. So when students are going through any type of challenge that's unexpected, we have case managers, and they are actual marriage and family therapists and masters in social work staff. So they're MSW and MFTs. And they have actual case management experience. A lot of them actually come from outside of college, and they've worked in clinics and hospitals, a DA's office, forensics. So they bring a wealth of experience to the campus with all of their connections. And this is, of course, included in their tuition and fees. They do get to meet with these case managers one-on-one. So if a student has any adjustment, like they get here and they realize they're having a difficult time, any relationship or social challenges, academic difficulties, excessive absences, any grief, bereavement, or loss. We also have students that may be experiencing substance use concerns or misuse, or any serious medical or physical injury, and you're wanting to call the school and let us know what's going on with your student, loss of housing or inability to afford food, and also mental health concerns. So again, all these are part of life and may happen during their time here. And we do have social workers on site that can meet with the students one-on-one, and they are non-clinical. They're really just focused on making sure they get connected to resources so that they can get back to the classroom. And we have really great relationships with the faculty and the chairs, the department chairs, and the deans. So if anything goes wrong, let's say, for instance, a common one might be hospitalization. Either it's going to be a car accident, mental health, anything like that, just anything that puts a student into the hospital, they can give us a call, the student, and even the parent, let us know that the student right now is clearly, getting medical treatment and can't attend class. We can call the professors and let them know that that student is missing class for the week. And then we won't tell them anything else, but just knowing it came from the CARES team, the faculty trust us that it's been vetted, and they don't ask questions. So this also protects the student's privacy. So yeah, we can let them know that they're not able to attend class, and then we'll continue working with the student and sometimes family if they want to be involved. And then once the student's kind of nearing their discharge date, then we will work with the faculty to see if any exams can be made up, homework, assignments, papers. So we'll work with the faculty to get those. We call them like non-disability accommodations because they're really more due to hospitalizations, or family dynamics. Sometimes things are going on in the home or with or friends, that anything like that can happen. Now, if a student has an actual disability, like a diagnosis, that's a whole different department. That's a federally protected accommodation, and that's through our Bob Murphy Access Center. And that's a whole different process. These are going to be the cases that just come up out of the blue. Like maybe the student doesn't have a disability, they just simply had their very first mental health crisis, or they just lost somebody important in their life, and they can't even imagine like going to their final or their midterm. So these are going to be just these academic concerns that fall outside of disability accommodations. So that's our team. We can help with that, and we can work with the faculty and the student. And then we'll help the student, just get stable, and make sure that they feel like they're ready and they feel welcomed, back on campus to come back. So some of our best work, really, we do really enjoy and have the honor to meet with students sometimes in their most difficult times, and just knowing that we're there for them and they can navigate back to the classroom and they're not alone, I think is something that we take great honor in. We are very happy to help your student. So over the years, this will be my 10th year coming up doing this work. I might be one of the original folks in the CSU that have been doing this. And some things that I would like to share with parents. Thank you. I see the little uh, of the icon there. But some of the things I would love to impart to parents that I've seen over the last decade are this right here, this screen. And if you want to take a screenshot, feel free. But asking about food and groceries, I think a lot of our students want to try to handle these issues by themselves and not tell their families. That's the number one thing I ask students is, have you shared this with anyone? That they're skipping meals, or not eating enough, or just eating like what they can afford. They go to Dollar Tree, or, just cup of noodles. And they often say, no, I haven't told my family. I don't want to bother them. I don't want to be a burden. So I would definitely impart to families, ask about food and groceries. How are you eating? Do you want help with like a grocery, plan, a grocery list? And then reviewing like medical insurance that benefits that are available to students. So a lot of times the case managers will start working with the student, and then they'll ask what insurance they're on, and they'll say, oh, my parents' insurance. And so we'll say, do you know what's available to you? And oftentimes they have no clue, but they are in need of some type of help, that their medical insurance can help them with. So whether that's mental health support, which is our most common one, there could also just be medical, like general medical things, checkups. We do have a health center, of course, and but that might be good for like one-time things, or things with just a short acuity. But if they want long-term support, we often do the work to help them with insurance. But a lot of times they have no clue, so we have to help the student to also talk to their family. So again, getting ahead of it a little bit and saying, you're off to college. If anything goes wrong, this is your insurance card, or come back and let us know how to we'll help you navigate insurance together. So oftentimes that's something that they don't know how to do, but they do ask for support. Another thing that we notice is around October, that's midterms time, a lot of students get into heightened stress. This is where a lot of capacity is narrower, more like narrower capacity. So it doesn't take a lot for them to get irritated. It doesn't take a lot for them to get overly stressed. And at this time, it feels like all their classes, midterms are all happening at one time. And so if they're still learning time management, chances are they're doing those late night papers and things like that. It can be really challenging. So any type of check-in, like, is there anything I can do to help you around your midterms? What do you need right now? Hey, midterms are coming up soon. Are you feeling prepared? So just asking how it's going. Of course, encouraging their own independence around it, but maybe just the checking itself, even just checking in, can be really helpful and meaningful for students. Okay, here's one that doesn't come up often, but I would love to impart to parents. Ask about their professors. How is your professor? Chances are, if they're struggling with the professor, they have no idea how to talk to them. So if you would like to coach your student on how to talk with their professors or how to write an email, when my own daughter unfortunately broke her ankle a couple weeks before classes started, and she had no idea how to tell her professor she might be late because she had to do crutches from one class to another, and it was kind of far. I helped her, just coach and craft an email to the professor, and that was helpful. So, and then she was able to do it, and the professor knew, okay, she's coming in, a little bit late because she's going on crutches. So just check in about how they're doing with the professors. Chances are they're going to be like, I don't know, they're okay. Or, they'll just give you maybe something that you can open that door and say, have you thought about sharing with them, what you're thinking, and I can help you craft this message. So I think that's a big one that we see is they often don't know how to approach them. Ask your students how they're navigating challenges and then encourage healthy coping skills. It is true in college that substance use is common and can happen. Oftentimes, it's rooted in some type of good intention, like coping. So, like things are getting too overwhelming and they will turn to alcohol or drugs to release tension and pain. And I think with some mentoring and some folks checking on students and just reminding them, like, I know this is the time when you may be tempted to go an easy way out with coping skills. Try talking with someone, try walking, taking a walk outside. We have the rec center, the Student Wellness and Recreation Center. We offer yoga, different classes. We have a thing called events and orgs, and it's a chicklet in their CSULB site, and it tells them about all kinds of events that are free on campus. So I like to offer to my students when they're going through a difficult time and there was substance use that came up, it's often tied to that, like it was how they were coping. So again, just ask how they've been navigating challenges on campus and encourage them to use healthy coping skills so that maybe they can think twice or just take a moment just to reflect more before they go straight to a coping skill that we might think is not going to be helpful for them. Another thing I like to remind students is that they're not just a student. So on the parent side, if you would, provide opportunities for family connection and activity. I will say oftentimes school can be very difficult. And if the student and the professor are treating grades like life and death, chances are they're catastrophizing if they're not doing well in class. If their sole focus is on their identity as a student, then everything feels high stakes. But if they can remember that they're more than a student, they're a human, they're somebody's son, daughter, somebody's niece, nephew, uncle, aunt, there's cousins, friend. There's so many other roles that they play, and time with family can really refill their cup, help them stay ahead of burnout, maybe decrease some of that catastrophizing, and just remind them about that wider perspective in life. Like, I'm not just a student, and this C or B does not define me. I have other things that also define me. So I do find it really helpful. Our students tend to fare better through crisis when they also tell us that they're connected to their family. So that piece we see tends to be a protective factor in how quickly a student's able to bounce back and get back into classes. We also want to check in about their sense of belonging on campus. A lot of times students are still trying to find their way. So like, how are you relating to your classmates? Are you finding any friends? And even if you don't have an answer, because we don't always have to have one, just opening up the space for them to talk and just validating their experiences, like that's really tough. I trust you though. I trust you, and I know that you just in time you will find people that you'll feel like you fit in with. So trusting them, but just even opening the door to chat about it. How are you feeling on your campus? We are a 42,000 student campus. There's definitely a chance that at some point or another, they may feel like they're not connecting yet. But just by being able to talk and chat with you, I think it's really helpful, and provide them some hope and keep them going. And the last thing is if they are currently receiving any medical or mental health services, dental, even just supporting them with their appointments and medication compliance. Um, Sometimes we'll see that a student does have services, but now going into college, they might be managing that on their own. And amidst all the other things going on, classes, social life, extracurricular job, they may need support with just reminders, even about filling prescriptions and things like that. So a lot of our families tend to be supportive for that. So I affirm that if you're doing that, I affirm. And if they're just starting, like right as they're going into college, that may be something you want to just monitor and help with a little bit as they start those. But medication compliance is actually really important. We do support students with severe mental health challenges. If your student lives with depression or bipolar, we do see that medication compliance is a protective factor. And again, it really does help that student bounce back quicker and get into classrooms, back into their class and turning in their work, if they're medication compliant. So we know sometimes medication compliance takes a village, and that's not something someone can do on their own. So a few things that we think our students are trying really hard, but we know with a little bit more family involvement, this can also just add an additional layer of support. And I just wanted to pause really quickly because I know we went over a lot. But did anyone have any questions right now that I can help answer?
I don't currently see any in the Q&A box, but if you do have questions, folks, please submit them into the Q&A. I also don't see any in the chat, but please submit them in the Q&A if you do have questions.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so the next one is our basic needs program. So we're all under the same roof. It really makes it easy for faculty, staff, and students to just refer to us. Um, they don't have to think about different numbers. That's what I love about Cal State Long Beach is the intentionality and the no wrong door approach. And we really do try to house things that make sense together to reduce that confusion people may have. Like, where do I send my student if they're going through this or that? Cares is it. Also, if you go through basic needs, it's still the same place. So on the back end, though, I'm just kind of going through the different type of programs that we have. But you can't go wrong. Cares or basic needs. We help the same students. It's the same team. So on the basic needs side, we focus on food insecurity, housing insecurity, public benefits access, and financial wellness. So we help students with how emergency housing, housing navigation. We have emergency grants, meal swipes. So anything that may need to fill a gap if a student unexpectedly loses any element of basic needs, so food, housing, or finances. We also support with transportation. Again, sometimes students get into car accidents, or maybe they have a car in the shop and they need to get to work. Maybe a family member, they share the car and the family member needs it back. And they don't have a car, but they live close to campus. We have like Long Beach transit cards for them, or emergency grants if they need to like do a down payment on a car. Now our emergency grants go up to $1,500. So they're not a lot, but we do work with the student and their financial aid and a lot of times their family to kind of come up with a plan together. But we have a lot of great support. So what we want to offer to parents, how you can help your student with food and housing. And I'm going to back up really quick and preface. We actually do know that about 56% of our students on this campus report food insecurity. That means that at some point in their time here, they weren't able to afford the food that they needed, or they skipped meals, or they cut meals because they didn't have resources, or they didn't know where their next meal was coming from. And we do know that 12% of our students experience housing insecurity, and that could look like couch surfing or living in their car. The number one reason we see students come in for housing insecurity are family dynamics. Students may be getting, as the student says in their words, kicked out of the home, but we know that's a very complicated process and complicated for the family, but they tend to lose housing following like maybe some family dynamics and the family has decided it's best for the student to leave. That might be the number one reason that we get our students in emergency housing. And the other one would be domestic violence. So they needed to leave for safety reasons. And then the third reason, which is also very common, is just that rent is so high. They lost, it takes like one job loss, or cut hours and they're not able to make rent and they can get evicted. So those are going to be our top three reasons students come in. This last year, we provided over 2,200 nights of emergency housing, helping almost 50 students. So this is a prominent issue on our campus, and we helped about 400 to 500 students with an emergency grant to save, like to avoid eviction. So I think the housing market is not forgiving right now for young students that are in school and not working. And financial aid doesn't go as far right now, especially with food prices on the rise. So again, we like to ask, I put this here again on purpose, ask about food and groceries, even if it's to help them, put a grocery list together or offer, like, I'll get the condiments for you, right? And you can cover the other things, or I'll give you $100 towards, groceries a month. And that way you can get your milk, bread, egg, cheese, like the ingredients that we need that are nutrient dense, that maybe are more expensive. And then they can get the rest. So just asking about food, asking about groceries is really helpful. I would also suggest our, families may want to support with meals on the go planning. I remember my daughter running out the house, school all day, didn't get back till late at night, and that's how it was all 5 days. So they're not coming home to cook and prepare food. So we would often help her just create a list or go through the grocery store. Like Costco has like those chicken packs. So we'd put together a few things and say, like, there you go. These are good things to eat on the go. And the first year or two, maybe even just the first year, she really needed that hand over hand support. And over time they get it, right? And as you might have seen with your student, they might want some independence after a moment. So after a while, she's like, okay, I think I got this now. But we did help her a lot with just learning how to eat on the go. And I want to emphasize nutrient dense foods because there's tons of food on the go, but they might look like a bag of chips. And we don't want our students to eat that over time, especially with, I will say, we have a pretty rigorous academic program here. So the students are working really hard at Long Beach. It's a not easy to get into this school. It's an amazing and incredible accomplishment to be at Long Beach. And our faculty just hold a really high regard. So the work that they're doing, they need the best nutrient dense food that they can get to keep up with the academic rigor here. Um, Offer to demonstrate meal prep and cooking. A lot of students also like to go online, and I was talking with a group of students this morning, and they that didn't know how to cook and prepare food, and we were kind of planning around that and what to do. And they said, we can go now on TikTok or other places. And so they committed to learning some cooking recipes from social media. So that's the way they wanted to do it. I'm not their parent either, but with our kiddo who went to college, we did help and demonstrate some cooking. And then, like I said, maybe even offering to help your student find their favorite TikTok or social media or, person or creator that can help just demonstrate cooking, and then they can learn as well, even if especially if they live out of town. But I think the number one thing that we see where students are like losing their money fast is they don't know how to cook and prepare food. So they're door dashing and they're eating out. And our financial wellness team, we have a group of 6 coaches and they meet one-on-one with students. That is the number one reason students are running out of money. They're eating out because they don't know how to cook and prepare food. So if we were to go to the support side and the proactive side, I would offer, if there's any way to help them start learning how to meal prep and cook. And even like I said, for those short meal on the goes, I think that's going to do a lot for their wallet, and a lot for their nutrition intake. Then the other thing, it's kind of easy and simple maybe, but just supplies, a lunchbox and ice pack, because our students are here on campus all day long and there's not really refrigeration where they can keep food. So I think having just even the right supplies to be able to just pack a few snacks for the day. And I recommend like your perishable foods for before 12, like a boiled eggs and chicken, and then maybe some shelf products for the last half of the day, like Nutri-Grain bars and things like that, so that you can eat the fresh food first and then the non-perishable foods in the afternoon. So just think about lunch boxes, ice packs, things like that to help. You can offer a budget check-in. A lot of our students, again, it's one of those things they don't want to tell their parents, but we tell us all the time, I do not know what I'm doing with my money. And some of our students, if they have financial aid, they just get this large refund dumped into their account, and then they're asked to make it last for 5 months. And no one really has ever sat with them before to do their budget. So we do offer budget workshops throughout the year, and we offer one-on-one financial wellness counseling. We have those financial wellness peer coaches I was talking about, but also family. You know your student the best. And so if you want to talk to them about budget, and I say the rule of five, once they get their refund, or if you're giving them a budget of any kind, I divide that financial aid refund by 5 months. And I explain to the students, we have a presentation as well for them, and it breaks it down with a graphic, but it has August when you first get your refund, and then it's August, September, October, November, and December is that last month before the semester ends. So that's 5 months. So even though it looks like $4,300 looks like a lot to them, I asked them to divide that by five, and then it's coming out to like, $900. So it's actually not a lot every month. So we do help students to think about it intentionally, that you need to make this money last for 5 months, and then you don't get your next refund till January. And then it's again January, February, March, April, May, right? And then even June, if some of them go into summer, so that could be 6 months. But we kind of give them tips like that. And if you wanted to go over budgeting, we also ask them about needs versus wants. And so a lot of times students are like, I do need a computer. I want a MacBook. So we kind of talk about trade-offs and how trade-offs can really help just short term so that they don't run into money issues. A lot of our students tell us that they give their money back to their families. So we don't tell students what to do with money, but we do their budget with them and then let them decide, do you have money to give back to your family if you're barely making rent? And sometimes we just have to have that conversation with students, how to maybe just have some boundaries around their money or who they're giving it to. It also could be friends, cousins, but we do hear from our students sometimes that their money goes to folks who ask for their financial aid, and the students too scared to say no. So they give their money away and then they don't have money left for themselves. So we have those conversations with the students as well. But those are conversations that they might have a better with a trusted person like a parent or even like another family member. So budget is a big one because especially right now in the conditions that we're in food and housing wise, they're pretty tough right now. So I can imagine as a student, it's really tough. Um, Again, I'm going to offer providing opportunities for family connection and activities, especially for our students experiencing basic needs challenges. They tend to feel isolated because they're low on resources. So they're having to work at least two jobs. I've definitely seen that is very common. And then they have their classes and then homework. So they're so busy that they often engage with our campus less. They're not going to the free activities or the sports events. They're not making friends. They don't have time. So they will make time for family though. So if you're, especially if the family may be low resource or low income, family is still valuable and priceless. And every time I hear a student come back from a family event, they definitely look recharged. And it looks like it helps them. And so I definitely believe in that. I think family connection is a currency in college, and I think that does take students very far. And I see it, and I can tell that it really helps them to be around their family. And then again, if possible, if you live close by, uh, send your student home with cooked meals or like some leftovers. That helps with the budget, but it also just makes sure that they're eating nutrient dense foods. So again, our students will try to take it on themselves, but often what that looks like is skipping meals, or eating like chips and cup of noodles. And again, that's their version of taking it on themselves, but we would rather they have nutrient dense foods, and they don't skip meals. And sometimes that does require their village. The last thing I'll say is just support with housing navigation. So if they're living off campus and they're looking for a place to live, A lot of times they do not know about the credit scores. They don't know how to look for housing. They're very prone to scams. And so it's often really nice when our students tell us, like, oh, my parents helping me look for housing. I feel good about that because the parent, you want your student to live somewhere safe and in the best place possible. So I know with your help, they will find a good place to live and maybe also less susceptible to scams. And then we don't really offer any advice around like co-signing. That's totally up to the family, definitely. But at least just a little help with where to find housing, how to do it. Basically, don't just rely on Craigslist. I don't think people use that anymore, but I know some students use like Facebook or other places. So just looking at those with caution. Sometimes when I talk with my students and we're looking at places to live, if the place seems like, oh, just move in today, I tell them a real landlord or a real property manager would kind of want to vet you and would ask about your credit score and ask about things like that. So I just give them tips too about what when it looks like a scam and when it looks legitimate. So that might help as well. And then, of course, if they're having issues with their landlord, letting even letting us know sometimes because we can connect students to off-campus resources. In Long Beach, there's an organization called Libre, Libre, and Libre helps Long Beach residents with landlord negotiations or property managers. And so, like with evictions or when maintenance is not being done. So there is some off-campus legal support that we offer to students, but helping them with that even. And again, every time I hear a student that says, "Oh, my parents helping me with that," it usually gets resolved pretty quickly. And I can see the mental health of that student maintain it in a healthy way because they have that support. So I do know a lot of these things. If you're like, "Oh yeah, I helped my student with that," keep doing what you're doing. It really does help. We see the difference. We see the absolute difference when students are getting help from their families. So we really commend you. And I know we never really get to meet. So I'm actually excited to be here with you all today. Because you all do such amazing work. When you're involved, we can absolutely see the difference with our students. Um, I'm going to keep going here and like we'll go over the food resources as well. I think I see, there we go. So we have our first one is Beach Bites. Every student can get this. It's on their mobile app and they just subscribe to the Beach Bites channel and we let them know when there's leftover food on campus. So this is an actual post that I screenshotted from Beach Bites. Hey students, in Anatole Center, we have roast beef sandwiches, more portobello mushrooms, quinoa salad, Thai salads, veggies, fruit, donuts. So they have all these really yummy things. So whenever we have events on campus that were catered and the event is over, we push out to the students all the food that's left over and they can come and eat it for free. So we love getting this out to students. It's free. It's any student can do this. And so you're like studying near the Anatole Center, you could go over easily and just grab the food. So we have over 100 faculty and staff signed up on there. And so anytime there's a catered event done, like leftover, yeah, ending, we send out the message about leftover food. The next one is our CalFresh program. So many of you have heard about this. I think at our last, like our preview day that in April, uh, we were able to talk with a lot of parents and they were really familiar with CalFresh. So I think the word is getting out more that colleges do have it. And I'm really glad to hear that. So if you're familiar, yes, we do help your student apply. And if you're not familiar with this program, it's a federal food assistance. So I would even say it's like the same folks that bring you financial aid, like FAFSA. There's a federal program for food. What that means is that it's not just here in Long Beach or even in LA. This is a federal program, so it's national. If you have kids that go to other schools across the country, they can look for it. It's called SNAP. In California, we like to name our own things, so it's called CalFresh here. But it's essentially free grocery assistance. So we help students apply. It's easier than the FAFSA, but it's also just as involved. And so it's better if somebody's helping your student. And so they can make an appointment with us, meet with us one-on-one, and we will walk them through the application. And basically, you have to be making for one household of one student, it would be earning under $2,600 a month. And then now they changed the law that you just have to be an undergrad enrolled in at least 6 units, and those are the only two requirements. So if your student makes under 2,600 a month, and they are enrolled in at least 6 units, and they most likely will be eligible for CalFresh. So we will help them apply. And then once we help them apply and upload their documents, it goes to the county. Here it's county, LA County, which most of them should apply here in LA County because this is where they're going to cook and prepare their food and buy groceries. An LA County social worker calls the student, just goes over their information and verifies that they live here, that they're a student, that they make under 2,600 a month. And then if the student has any unique circumstances, that's a great time to talk to the county worker about that. And then they get approved. If they get approved, then they're going to be mailed a card. And on that card, every single month, benefits load on there up to $291. Well, 292 now. So then every month your student could be getting $292. One thing to note, if your student is under 22 years old and still lives with family, then the whole family would be required to apply together. And we do actually offer that. So we will set an hour appointment instead of a 20-minute appointment, and we'll just make sure all the family members are in there. Now, some families already receive CalFresh and the students on there. Great. So then you're buying food and you're hopefully buying food for your student, and you're thinking about that on the go food. And then the other program that we have is a supplemented grocery assistance program. Some of our students are not eligible for federal benefits for one reason or another, or their case is taking a really long time and they need food now. So once in a while, we're able to give students grocery gift cards just to get over like maybe 2 to 3 months of support until we find out what's going on with their application, or maybe we access more financial aid. So we do have, it's like a gap assistance. And then our last two, we have our food pantry. This is open to everyone. So they can go into the food pantry weekly. And if you're struggling to afford groceries, this is the place to go. It's donations only. So it is whatever is available that week that was donated. But we have some great partnerships with organizations that do regular donations. And we have fresh produce in there. And we have we have perishable items and non-perishable items. And if you're looking for somewhere to donate or to have food, if you're looking for, yeah, somewhere to donate food or do a food drive, then that's a great place also to go. I see someone here. If you're paying for your students' education, they would not. Oh, that's who's paying for their education doesn't matter. It's going to be actually just based on who they're cooking and preparing food with. It's usually themselves. And then if they live outside the home, then it's just based on their income and their work hours requirement. But again, with the new law, just by being enrolled in school waives the work hours. So it's just two hurdles. It's that you're enrolled in school, and that you are making under 2,600 a month. And then beyond that, they don't really, it's not dependent on who's covering the tuition. And then for ASI Food Pantry, like I said, they are donation only. And right now they're located in our Student Health Services Center. But in 2 years, when our new student union opens, they will have a beautiful wing there with us as well, basic needs and the food pantry together. And then the last part is Swipe Out Hunger. So this is a really fun thing that we do with our students. It's a way for them to give back too. But basically every year, once a year, or once a semester, we ask students who may have extra meal swipes, they can only donate one, but we ask if students would like to donate a meal swipe. And usually we get about 300 to 600 every year of donated meal swipes. And then that will go and turn around to students who are skipping meals. We have sometimes students living in their car, and during the time we're trying to get them rehoused, we may put them into emergency housing and then offer them meals. And so that's usually where it's going, is students experiencing homelessness or some unique situation and they are skipping meals, or for whatever reason they don't have money for food. So we do have a Swipe Out Hunger program. It's a donation program. Students get to donate. And then also Basic Needs Office, we do purchase meals as well for this. So we have our own bank, but we also allow the students to donate if they'd like to when they're going into their dining hall to eat. Oh, another thing about CalFresh and meals and dining hall, if your student is on the 10 meals a week plan, they can also apply for CalFresh, but anything over 10 meals will be considered regular access to food, and the county may not consider that eligible. So when we go and work with the students that are living in the dorms, we're mostly working with students who are on the 10 meal plan. But good question though about eligibility and family. And the last thing is our students have lots of options when they're looking for housing. Housing itself is hard to find, but we make sure that there are at least different resources for them. So there's our off-campus housing website, open to all students. We have a roommate board, also open to all students. They can post if they're looking for a roommate. We have peer navigators in the basic needs department. So again, basic needs, if you're struggling in any way with food or housing, and our peer navigators will help the students as well with the housing search. We have emergency housing up to 21 days in the dorms, and that's if you've unexpectedly lost your housing. And we have a program called Rapid Rehousing, and this is for students who are living in their car on the street. We probably house about 50 students a year through this program, where we contract with a community agency, and they have they procure the land, like the vacancies and the apartments. And so then we have them move the student in, and they do like a master lease model. And the student can move in, they make it the first month free, and then they start paying gradually until they take the lease over. So that is also another program we have. It's a very specialized program. And it's reserved for our students who are actually, when they come to us, they are living in their car or in a shelter. So we are located in Peterson Hall right now. And the fun thing is when our university union is up, we will have a beautiful part of the wing in the union right next to the pantry so that students have easy access to us. And it'll be a beautiful space. There's our website as well. I have our QR code if you'd like to browse our website, our phone number. And then we ask our students to follow our Instagram because that's where we're posting all of our updates on food, resources, housing, how to apply for CalFresh. Every month we bring the county, LA County, to the campus, and the social workers from LA County, DPSS, are doing the applications on the spot with the student for CalFresh, CalWorks, Medi-Cal. And so we do have public benefits days on campus. So if they follow our Instagram, they're going to know when those days are and know when to apply with us or to join us for that. And then I want to stop here again. I just talked a lot. Maybe I'll go back to the um, food and see if anyone has any questions.
Again, I don't see any questions in the Q&A or in the chat, but folks, if you have questions, please submit them in the Q&A or the chat, either one. Or you could unmute, honestly. We have a small group here, and Danielle is here to answer any questions that you all may have.
I'm curious if there's anyone here that has a particular concern or like wondering if there's a certain resource that they want to make sure their student knows about.
We did have somebody put in the Q&A that they wanted to see the web address again. If you could maybe
Oh,
go back to that
great.
slide.
Yeah, definitely. Sure thing. It's great to keep on hand. Yeah. And the QR code's there too. So again, just chatting with your student, that's the number one thing they do not want to tell you, but we see that they do struggle is food and groceries, meal prep, meal cooking, planning for meals on the go. Yes, Todd, I agree. I wish I had these too when I was in school. I really could have used our CalFresh, but I didn't talk about this program, but it's going to come back when the union's back up, but we will have a kitchen again. And when we had a kitchen, we did cooking demos. And so we do teach students how to cook and prepare meals, but it's just without the kitchen, we can't. But when we're back up and running, but I really could have used that too in college. Yeah, thank you. Anyone else? Again, we hope a smooth and positive experience for your students. Really, we do. And when life happens, just know that we are prepared to help. We care about your student and we care about you all. And if you need us, we do work with parents. You can call us. Now, with FERPA, our law about family education rights, we are not able to give you information yet, but I do let the student know how to help you get that form filled out so we can talk if that's the case. Or If that doesn't happen, I'm still always able to receive information. And parents call me all the time. My student is going through this. What should I do? Hypothetical consultations. We do that. Or they're in the hospital. Can you get to their professors? Absolutely, I will do that. So I can still receive any information you want to share with us, even if we can't yet share with you. But if that's really needs to be done, we can help get there and help the student with that FERPA form. So please know that you can call us anytime too if you're worried about your student.
Awesome.
Great. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Danielle, for everything. I really appreciate you coming and talking with us all today. And I hope that everybody who attended found this information very helpful. I'm sure they did. It's incredible, and what you all do is amazing. So thank you so much for your
Mhm.
hard work. Um, for all of my attendees, I dropped a few links in the chat. One of them is for parent and family orientation. If you have not registered for parent and family orientation and you have an incoming student for that is going to be starting in the fall of 2026, I highly, highly encourage you to attend parent and family orientation. We go through many, many things that you may need to know for your student starting school. We also have our Beach Family newsletter, which goes out every 2 weeks completely free of charge for our parents to learn about everything we're doing on the campus, upcoming events, campus department information, academic calendar, all of the whistles and bells. And then lastly, this presentation was recorded. And so this information will be available on our parent and family YouTube page beginning tomorrow. So if you'd like to review this presentation tomorrow, it will be uploaded for you to review once again. But thank you so much, Danielle, and thank you for all of our attendees. I hope everybody has a great evening, and go beach.
Thank you. It was really nice to spend time with you all. Thank you so much.